I won't name and shame anyone because that's not my game, but
Right.
there will be, of course, let's say some, because I don't want to do like a blanket statement. Celebrities who they're on drugs, performance enhancing drugs. You can tell as someone who witnesses drugs within the fitness community, and I can tell when someone's on drugs because at some point, 2, 4, 6 years, if they're silly, they have heart problems or heart failure. There's people from gyms that I know, of course, I won't mention, they're in their 18s, like teens, by 22, heart failure, and they can't train again because they've seen celebrities, they've seen these certain things, and they think, I want that, but I want it now.
Life today is chaotic, unpredictable, and constantly shifting. But within the chaos lies opportunity, and we're here to seize it. This is Generation Uncharted. Fitness Phrase, thank you so much for joining us on Generation Uncharted.
Thank you, Lewis. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, I have been looking forward to this one because I do feel, as someone that is a dad that struggles to do any exercise, speaking to a PT is going to be revolutionary. So let's jump into it. So, first thing I wanted to ask you is, we are bombarded with fitness advice,
Yes.
diet trends, gym culture, yet obesity rates are rising and so many people are struggling to stay in shape. So why do you think so many of us are failing when it comes to fitness?
It comes down to several reasons. First reason is going to be nutrition, and the second is going to be just fitness in itself. So I'll sort of break it down. I'll try not to go too much into the information because there is loads out there. But yeah, fitness and nutrition. We'll go with nutrition first because that is super important. It's to do with a lot of it is processed foods and addiction. So with addiction, you might just think of obviously hardcore drugs, that sort of stuff. But when we look at actual fast foods, it lights up your brain receptor, your dopamine, exactly the same as a drug would. With fast food, it's going to sort of alter your ghrelin, so your feeling full hormone, and your leptin. Sorry, the other way around. So ghrelin is your hunger hormone, and then leptin is your feeling full hormone. So the issue with fast food is it completely distorts that, and then you're practically eating food, you're not feeling full, you're not feeling nourished, and you're just not getting the nutrients in, and it's completely distorting the whole body. So one of the main things to get out of that is just ease out like anything else, like you would with smoking, with alcohol. If you start to view it more as, obviously not in a bad way like a drug, but if you start to view it as, right, we need a plan and I can't just go cold turkey, then you can just ease out of it and then slowly implement better protein foods, more nutrition, just stuff that's going to obviously slowly help you get through. I don't know if you remember, there was a show called, it was to do with McDonald's and eating food. It was called Super Size Me.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was literally years ago, but they've done loads of studies on that since and just proving how fast food is basically it is bad for you. But
Is there
unfortunately,
anything though, like I feel like most people know, like, oh, you shouldn't eat too much of this stuff. But I think some people are just like, I'm too busy. But then there are other people where it's like, I thought I was eating healthy. I had no idea it had X and Y in it. And so I think a lot of people get sort of overwhelmed and then think, oh, well, you know what? Everything's bad for you, so I may as well have the McDonald's.
yeah, totally get that. I think, especially with this day and age with social media, you could look on the internet and one person saying eggs are amazing, the next saying stay away from eggs. Same with red meat, it's really good for you, and then studies will say completely stay away. As a whole, eggs, red meat, pretty much most things, if you keep it in balance, the same as in life, too much of one thing is going to be overall negative. But eggs, fresh fruit, vegetables, a lot of the stuff that, I mean, the government's okay at doing stuff. They will promote the basics, but there could be more done with that. But as a whole, if you want to be more healthy, just like you said, everyone knows what healthy foods are in the shopping aisle. It's going to be usually the outer ring. Anything within the middle ring is going to be like your more unhealthier foods, like more processed sort of foods. And most diets work is just because they eliminate the processed foods. They put you on a calorie deficit, so you naturally will lose weight. But it's just heading more towards that. But like you said, try not to overcomplicate it and give yourself a bit of grace and just be easy on yourself. as well, because it is difficult and you will relapse. It's part of the journey. Same as going to the gym. There's going to be off days.
Well, sort of on that. So you're a personal trainer. So basically, I feel like you've got a lot of pressure on you, right? So people come to you and like, I want to change my body. I want to be muscly. I want to be thin. I want to be all of this. But obviously, there's only so much you can do without their willpower as well. So I guess what's some of the simplest ways that you use to help people kind of break through their excuses and just get started?
It could be to literally just show up. So if they're with me, it's a lot easier as a PT because then you can book them into a session. They've got the accountability and also they paid for it. So money is obviously an incentive. And once you put money towards something, most of the time you're more likely to be invested in it the more you sort of put in. For getting through it, it's just going to be booking it in your calendar, just making sure that you do have set days, set times. Instead of saying, oh, I will exercise on Tuesday, think when on Tuesday, what time, what sort of rough thing are we going to do with the exercise? Just slowly sort of start to implement just a general picture of what you're going to do instead of like a broader, I want to exercise, I want to do this. All it starts off with, honestly, is just consistency and getting through the door. As soon as you're in the door, you build the habits and then you can start to fine tune the form, the technique, what you're eating. It's where people start too much too soon, too much pressure, and then you're just gonna burn out.
When it comes to that point of getting started, do you ever find that mindset matters? For instance, if someone's just said, "Oh well, I just need to work on my fitness because that's on my to-do list," versus someone that I don't know has been dumped and they want a revenge body. Is the mentality important, or can anyone just do it and it doesn't matter? Because I kind of feel like you need an emotional connection to kind of stick with something so rigorously.
Yeah, everyone's got their sort of trigger or their key moment. Like you said, it could be revenge body, it could be some sort of health condition, it could be um, just because they're sick and tired of being tired, and they just want some sort of change implemented. As a PT, it's not having a one policy for all. You've got to tailor it to each specific individual, help them burn up that sort of negative energy that they're withholding towards them, but utilize it. But then slowly through time, coach them to, yeah, it's good to burn that out your system, but then let's slightly alter our mindset along the way and not be like, oh, this, that, and the other, and then continue to fuel that fire. Eventually, just burn out that negative energy. Of course, do it for you, but then slowly in time start to rewire the sort of narrative of bringing it back to who you are and the real reason, and kind of just get away from the other stuff. But whatever your reason for doing fitness, as long as you're getting in the door and it's not going to be a detriment to you, use it. Literally use it.
Um, Going back to there's a load of conflicting health advice out there, and I'm the worst for it, by the way. Like I'll see an article like how I got an 8 pack in 8 days with this one
Yeah, yeah,
small
yeah,
change. And I'm
yeah.
like, I'm clicking on that, and that's why they make them because people click on it. And
Yeah,
even
it's
like
just
on Instagram, it's like, oh, there's this simple thing. And I'm like, oh. So it is really conflicting. So if for the record, right now, is there one piece of health advice that really irritates you, like one myth that you would just like to dispel right now?
it's either going to be the 30-day trend or like the very short trends that you see these phenomenal transformations. Unless you're going on an extreme calorie deficit, you've had the pre-muscular body to begin with, and you're just revealing it. These short, faddy, like you said, 8-minute abs, 5-minute abs, all the short dopamine fueled things of instant gratification, it just doesn't work. Even with these body images, and I see it all the time on social media, it'd be a transformation. And there's little tricks that they'll do. It could be different lighting. It could be a leant back posture compared to like the first posture is like really inwards, stick my belly out. The second one, better lighting, muscle pump. Maybe they'll spray water on them or oil. They'll do whatever to be like just to get into that instant gratification and instant dopamine of how this day and age is. There's no patience or Yeah, it's just no patience anymore for things. Great things take time.
I'm a sucker for it. I'll see those pictures and I know, obviously, logically, what they're doing, but it is just like, oh, because I think there is a point of like some of us are so busy. Well, everyone feels busy. I don't know that many people that are just sat around like not feeling busy, but it's just kind of like, oh, there's a hack. There's a kind of way I can do it. How do you feel about these sort of fitness YouTubes? Like, obviously, we all remember in the pandemic there was Joe Wicks that kind of kept the nation moving, but then you do get these kind of 8 minute abs and stuff like that. Do you think that YouTube can have the same effect, or is it a mixed picture?
I believe that if you're doing anything fitness based, compared to nothing, definitely go for it. I'm all for that the whole time. When it comes to YouTube and like you said, social media, it's just the only worry is the influx of everyone who is now a coach as such. The issue is with coaches is that you to use the term coach, you don't actually have to be a qualified personal trainer. So anyone can be a coach. Not to say that there's going to be coaches out there who will be better than me and better than other people, but you just got to be careful that just because someone might have an amazing body doesn't mean that they know how to teach you to have an amazing body as well. What might have worked for them might not work for you. They might not understand injuries, your biomechanics, just your lifestyle, your sleep. There's lots of considerations that you have to take in. But for like short workout video, if it's not anything dangerous and it's just body weight and they're showing you sort of correct form, I'd definitely go for it. Anything's better than nothing, and you're going to be building up your discipline, your resilience each time you train. Do something that you thought you couldn't. So it's always a bonus to exercise.
Side question here, based on what you just said. So I have definitely heard this. I mean, mainly from gay men, where they're like, I can't have him as my PT. Like, he's not ripped enough. So that might just be a section of gay men, but is there a pressure on PTs to like, well, you've got to talk like your body is your advert. And have you ever been asked like, take your top off? I need to see like what I could look like, or are people not like that?
Not like with me, but maybe I sort of give off that impression from the get go that I try to focus more on the mindset performance. And if you focus on your performance, getting stronger, fitter, leaner, healthier, the body comes as a byproduct, then to just focus on the looks. But there is PTs out there who are more bodybuilder focused, which is predominantly just how you look.
Mm,
And yeah, there is a ridiculous pressure for PTs to portray that perfect lifestyle of meat, fish, eggs, broccoli, rice, all that sort of stuff. And they might not show
yeah.
them eating chocolates, eating normal things. It does depend on sort of what extreme you want to go on. If you want to get fitter and fitter, you can't compare like an Olympic athlete to someone who trains 3 days a week. Their food requirements and they won't have certain things because it's detrimental for them. But yeah, there's loads and pressures on PTs to look a set way, but looks is society now. Unfortunately, we base and we presume just based on looks, where it is predominantly down to knowledge when you think about it.
Yeah.
But because you can have an amazing PT, they know how to coach, they've got the knowledge and they've got the wisdom that you seek, and they love doing their job. But they might not have the physiques themselves, but people do judge.
I guess it comes down to as well what your motivation is for, hitting the gym and trying
Yeah,
to
exactly.
get healthy. So some people, as I say, you might want a revenge body or just
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
single and ready to mingle body. Some people might just be, no, I just want to be fit. And I think there's also a section of people that no one really talks about, which is I'm just future proofing my body. I don't necessarily want to see any changes in my body. I just don't want to decline and I want to be a fit and healthy 80-year-old. So coming to origin stories, which is what I wanted to talk about next. So, you were a Marine, which,
Yes.
my interpretation of that is that, discipline is everything there. So I wanted to know, how do you apply that military mindset to fitness, and can regular people do the same?
Anyone can do it, but like anything in life, it just comes back down to the basics and reinforcing it day in, day out. It just starts off with doing something that you don't want to do, and it doesn't have to be fitness related. It could just be mindset or habit. and going against your just your habits and day-to-day lifestyle. It could be if someone doesn't make the bed, for example, just make the bed because they don't want to do it. If someone doesn't clean in a household and they let someone else do it, clean. Like just change slowly who you are, because you can't expect a key to unlock a new door without changing the key. Like, you need to change yourself, but don't expect to do it all of a sudden. I promise you, it's just day by day, day in, day out, um, slowly, and then just expect relapses as well. Like I said, it's part of the fitness journey. It's not going to be perfect and linear. If it was, everyone would eventually be super fit, no issues. There's going to be curves up, down, months where work just gets tough, relationships get tough, life gets tough. That has a hit on your fitness, illnesses, all sorts. So it's just slowly and surely, but making sure it's every single day, whether it's
Yeah.
fitness, mindset, or nutrition. Try to get at least 2 of the 3. So if you're not exercising that day, try to eat a bit healthier, and then maybe even listen to a 5-minute podcast just to understand your mindset more, the body more. Just something to just tweak yourself and build.
People feel like they need motivation, I guess. And what I wanted to know is how people can build up that self discipline. Because I, for instance, was actually reading. Who am I kidding? I was chat GPTing just about like actually having more sort of self discipline and stuff like that. And one of the things it recommended was a cold shower, because actually, a cold shower, you're doing something really that puts your body in a lot of discomfort, but then afterwards you feel euphoric and you get a sort of natural dopamine hit from doing something hard, and then your body releases the reward. Versus the world we live in, where there's things beeping at you all the time and you can keep swiping and all of this stuff that gives you sort of artificial dopamine. And that's something where it said, actually, if you're trying to have self-discipline, the modern world has probably weakened, I don't know, some part of the frontal cortex, which means that your self discipline is not there. So if you start doing something every day that's painful to you, but gives you a better feeling in the long run, like, that's a good way to at least start up self discipline. And then doing other hard things won't feel as hard, so you're sort of used to it. You've trained your body. So I guess that's what I am hoping, and I'm on like week 2 of doing my cold showers now. But what would you say to people that are looking to sort of build up their self discipline?
I couldn't agree with you more with the cold showers and doing something difficult. And how are you finding them as well?
Good. So, I mean, the
Yeah.
first 2 or 3 days, I didn't really time them, and I was just like doing it, and it was like I'm one of those people that if I accidentally turn off the hot first, and then you get the I like jump, and it's like,
Yeah,
so
you
actually
get that
doing
gasp
it.
of breath and stuff.
Yeah, and then I started timing it, and I've gotten to 2.5 minutes. I've pretty much done a week and a half of 2.5 minutes in the cold shower, with the exception of one day where the kids had me up all night, and I tried to do it that morning. I just was not in the headspace for it. So
Yeah, yeah, of
with the
course.
occasion of that blip where I did like about a minute and 10 seconds, I've actually done it really consistently, and it's weird. Sometimes I actually look forward to it now, and it's not so
Yeah,
much
you
the
will.
cold;
You
it's
will.
more the feeling afterwards of like, oh, when you get out of the cold shower though, and like you get that feeling. So it is something that I'm working on. I'm gonna see if I work my way up to 5 minutes, because the only thing is I want to be consistent. What I don't want to do is go too far ahead and be like, oh well, I do 5 minutes now, and then have days where I can't do it, and then I'll feel like a
Yeah,
failure. So I don't know
exactly.
whether I'll stick at 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. You want it to be sustainable in the long run.
But it
Definitely.
has, and I will just say this: there have been moments, like whether it's something at work I don't want to do, or other things, where it's like, actually, I've got like a frame of reference now for just do that uncomfortable thing that you feel hard, because you just feel better when it's done. So I do actually think it's already starting to bleed through into my life in a
It
weird way.
does. It does. It genuinely does. And I think the amazing thing with it is because it is at the start of your day and you just set as you means to go on. And it just gets you in that headspace of pretty much the first thing you're doing is something difficult. And it's like, right, what's next? What's next? And the brain loves a challenge. Obviously, it loves comfort, and that's the battle of things. But once you get that bug for discipline, and you realize the true effects of it and of the key benefits, then you
Yeah.
just don't go back. Yeah, you just don't go back.
I'm loving it, and I think there's more to. I've also been doing my headspace meditations as well. And actually, even like, and I'm someone that's like, oh, as if I'm going to sit there and breathe deeply and hum for like a few hours, like how ridiculous. But actually, like just doing some of the breath work exercises and learning a bit more about controlling your breath and the different benefits and the different things that I maybe just wasn't even aware of. I'm like, you know what? I am actually seeing some benefits to this. This is quite interesting, to be honest.
No, it massively works. They teach like box breathing and different breathing methods in the military as well, like 4 in, pause, 4 out. Um,
That's what I've been doing. My box breathing, yeah.
like they say, where the mind goes, energy flows. But like the same with your body. The mind can control the body, but then the body. So if you're breathing naturally higher and you take conscious effort of slowing down your body, the brain would be like, okay, we seem to be in a more calmer state. Let's
Mm,
bring things down. It's the same when you're eating, or for example, usually you only eat when you're not stressed. So like before a huge interview or something or work, you might not eat as much, but eating, it's just like a slower, unless obviously you're just downing your food because you're just so busy. But like as a whole, yeah, what you do with your body controls your mind, and it's the same with body language as
yeah.
well. People use that when they do business talks or talks on stage. They'll have different hand positionings and body language to try to perceive a set sort of thing. Controlling the body definitely works to help the mind.
One of the things I actually wanted to ask you as well was, as we've already talked about, like social media is full of sort of unrealistic body standards. It's a bit of a bubble because no one's going to post a picture of them looking fat and bloated, but they're going to post a picture of them looking strong in the gym. But what I want to know is how do you help people focus on genuine health and progress instead of comparison? And have you ever had, like a guy or a gal come in and say, make me look like this person I've seen on Instagram, and you just know instantly, like, that's just not going to happen?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because you could have one person wanting to look like the other. I could have 100 people who come in the gym. I'll give them the exact same training program, but we're all different from genetics, height, just your limbs, how you store fat on your body. So it's yeah, it's completely different.
So, have you ever had to have any of those hard conversations where you say, "Look, you're not going to look like that, but actually, what you should be focused on is X and Y, or and how receptive are people to that kind of feedback?"
You've got to. It's been like a it's knowing the person, I think, and just
Yeah.
gauging them and see how they feel. Some people you can just tell they love directness, and you can just pick up on that. Other people, you know that they honestly, genuinely want something, and you don't want to kill a dream at the same time, but
Mm.
you do have to be realistic. So if someone does say to me, I want this dream body, or I want to look like this within 8 weeks, I will slightly be like, okay, let's maybe focus on a little bit longer. But for now, maybe we'll focus on this goal, getting stronger. Let's focus on your food. All these little things will then help you towards this goal. But let's just focus on the smaller things and obviously keep that amazing goal in the background.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do have to navigate the waters with them and just word it carefully, because for someone that could put them off the gym for life. For someone else, it could be like, oh, okay, I realize now. So I believe you just got to be careful with how you do it, because it could be someone's first experience in a gym with a PT.
Mm.
Yeah, I try to just gauge a person and just tailor it to the individual. But I will say to him, that person that you're looking at, they've probably been doing that for 10 years or whatever.
It's like with anything, I guess. Like a load of people will look at, if I looked at someone that's been doing a podcast, like, they've got millions of views, like, yeah, but they've been doing it for 8 years. And there was
Yeah, yeah,
like a
exactly.
time where no one was listening to the podcast. So, I get that. One thing I really do want to talk to you about, because I would love your thoughts on this, is the idea that the gym is like intimidating and unwelcoming. And
Yes.
I would love, as someone that's a PT, so you go to loads of gyms, and I'm assuming that culture doesn't really intimidate you, but I've definitely been to gyms where I'm like, they're looking at me or they think I'm looking at them, and I maybe want to see like what they're doing because maybe I want to copy what like they're doing with the weights, and I'm like, oh, they probably think I'm staring at them, how weird. Or even just like one thing I really hate when I used to go to the gym was I'd be using a some equipment, and then someone would come over and be like, oh, do you want to like swap? And I'm like, leave
Yeah,
me alone. I don't want to talk to anyone. I have no interest in speaking to you. I don't want to swap because then you're going to be watching what I'm doing. I'm going to get more self conscious. So
yeah,
I
you're gonna
actually
feel
find like the
rushed and
gyms.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. You're rushing, and then and heaven forbid someone comes over and is like, "Oh, mate, you should be doing it more like this," which I guess is them helping. But I'm just like, just leave me alone. I don't want to speak to
Yeah,
anyone.
exactly. And there's going to be gym bros and people out there who will give you advice and they don't know what they're talking about, even if they do look like more impressive or where there's some people that they might get to a stage, but yeah, it's just
Do you have a gym pet peeve? Is there anything that people do in the gym that really winds you up?
we don't have long enough for podcast, but I won't mention everything. I think it's just for me, always my pet peeve's going to be judgment the whole time because
Yeah.
it's there's no need for it. Obviously, it's easier to judge than to understand, so that's why most people judge. But yeah, it's always judgment and then looking down on people because it's the gym's tough, changing your body's tough, but it's even more tough for certain people, especially if it's your first time in a gym, if you've got social anxiety, if you're like overweight, if you're disabled. Not to say that a normal
Mm.
day-to-day person won't experience just as bad emotions, but there is a lot of pressure on people. So if you can remove that judgment,
So let's say like someone watching this now, they went to the gym for the first time yesterday, hated it, they felt watched, they looked at a girl that was in tight gym wear and she looked and they thought that he feels like she thinks he's a pervert, and all of those horrible horror stories. Like what would you say if they're like, I'm just going to cancel that gym membership, I'm not going back? Like what would be your advice for dealing with that gym intimidation?
definitely try again and then again and then again. Try at different times. Maybe it was too busy then. Maybe that timing, because working within the gym, there's always going to be set people that come in at set times in the evening, different crowds, school kids, bodybuilders, professional athletes. You do notice a trend in people coming at set times. Try putting music on. Music's a massive influencer as well. Some people wear hats, so they just stay in the zone, and it kind of for me it gives off that I'm in the zone. Don't talk to me. Some people go as far as wearing a hoodie. So if you want to like Triple H hat, hoodie, headphones, do that, and you
Mm-hmm.
kind of get in your own zone as well. It could also be like confirmation bias as well, like because it's your first time and your brain will look for an easier way out. It will look for things that are wrong to make you think that's not for me. Let's go back to who we were. So
Yeah.
try it again. Literally just try it again. Try it at different times, different music, maybe try a class, maybe go with a
Yeah.
friend if you've got a friend to go with.
Question for you, and don't mention any gym names because they ain't paying for this podcast. But in all your experience, obviously you go to a lot of different gyms. Like, what do you think makes a good gym for you? Is it purely about the equipment, or are there some gyms that have good policies? Like, if you were, to create your own gym tomorrow, like what, and you've seen all these different gyms, like what do you look for in a gym? What would you make?
I would remove because I've noticed for a lot of people, it's the uncomfortableness. So it'd be a zero tolerance on judgment. And like, obviously, there's going to be different tiers to that. So you can't be like, oh, someone looked to me weird. Like, it's going to be hard to gauge. But if someone continuously is being a pest, immediately, obviously, get rid of them. I would just make it feel more inviting, especially in the free weights area. Free weights area is always a scary area for a lot of people because you're going to get more bodybuilders, fitter people within that area where they're more likely to do like deadlifts, squats, free weights such as like dumbbells and barbells, that sort of stuff. So for a lot of people, it's just scary. So I'd make that more inviting because that's always an issue, especially with a lot of clients and females. They don't want to go in the free weights area. So I'd make that more inviting somehow, even if it means segregating it off with male and female, or it could be mixed, or it could just have it open so the free weights area is already part of the rest of the gym. So it doesn't feel like a major transition to have to walk down a corridor through somewhere and then you're in that area. It's almost like, okay, I'm in this area already, but I'm over in this corner in the treadmills. Maybe slowly I'll go through here. So I'd have like an open plan gym,
Right.
and then do that, and then they can just slowly, almost like stages, work your way down the gym. And
Oh,
then
that's
yeah, do
nice.
that. And then just a zero topless policy for obviously lads and stuff like to get topless, and other people might like to see that. But it
Yeah.
depends on your demographic. Some people might not want to see guys topless just due to their preferences or their religion or whatever. So anything that's topless in a public area, I'd get rid
Yeah.
of. Have like a posing room or a mirrored room. Yeah, of course, for bodybuilding. If you want to take progress pictures, there's nothing wrong with that. But just it's just be more considerate of the people, and I think that all that is just enforcing of the rules, and just you set that tone from the get go, and then people who like that will want to come to your gym. If people think, oh, I don't like your policies, there's
Yeah.
there's thousands of gyms out there. It's just yeah, it's just that's just my interpretation of what I think
I like
people
that.
may
So a
like.
lot of that was geared to making sure that people feel comfortable, which I think is a big, big issue. Let's change tats just slightly, because I think a big thing is that there is a massive connection between mental health and fitness. So, in your experience, how does exercise actually change the way that people think and feel?
Massively, just from self-confidence and just belief in who they are, and that flows into everything in your life. Once you can master that belief in yourself, it doesn't matter if it's a gym, because that's just a subject. It doesn't matter if it's work or a relationship or whatever. Once you master that self-belief and continuously getting through adversity and thinking, I couldn't do that and now I am, I wasn't lifting that before but now I can, it just flows into the rest of your life. And then just in the gym as well, you're just slowly get into that mindset of I can't, because that is something that my clients and loads of clients will say maybe hundreds of times to begin with, like 30, 40 times in a session. And that will start to fade out. And then it will be replaced with I can, or like, it's easy. Even if it's not easy, tell yourself it's easy, because you want to reinforce that, looking for the positives or looking for something that's going to help you, because the situation, regardless, weights are difficult, life's difficult. It's using that mindset of focusing on positivity and not negativity, but that's obviously easier said than done, and it does take time. It takes a good amount of time.
Do you think that people need the gym more than ever nowadays? Like my whole thing with the cold showers and the motivation, because we have so much artificial dopamine now that no one no one needs to work hard for anything really. Like you want to do your shopping, it comes to the door. You want to like look at pretty girls, like just pull out your phone. But there's no it's all artificial dopamine. So the idea of going to the gym, much like the cold shower, is like you go and do something hard and then you feel good and then you've actually worked for it. Like, do you think that actually we need to be doing more stuff like that to combat this age of artificial dopamine?
Massively. And social media, like you said, especially Instagram, is just ruining it for people, because it's becoming like a further parallel universe compared to normal day-to-day lifestyle, and people are doing snippets of a perfect life, filters, a lot of people on performance drugs, so they're going to look a set way. It's not achievable naturally, but of course they're not going to tell you that they're not natural, because they want you to buy their courses. So it's definitely difficult more than ever. Like you said, people definitely need it, because life is getting harder, not just in general because stuff becoming more convenient with food, and that is making people more sluggish, more lethargic. It's altering their hormones and their thyroid, so it is causing issues that way. With the comfort causes a hardness, but then life's getting hard, like we've mentioned in the past, with just just interest rates and just stress and everything else. So more than ever, people will be driven to comfort than discomfort. I feel like more than ever, we need the gym to rebuild that discipline and that grit and resilience compared to let's just push more comfort to drown out why we're feeling horrible. We need some sort of counteractive to help. And then you'll find that once you do more gym, people's lives change. They change jobs. Some people change relationships just because they start to realize that where they were and how they were putting themselves down, and then they become who they're supposed to be because everyone deep down has that within them, but it might have been buried because of experiences.
So I want to come back to you being in the Marines. What did you learn in the Marines that's helped you with that mental toughness and that discipline? And what, from your years in that area as being a Marine, like what could you tell people as like these are not hacks, because I know life is a bit harder than just getting loads of hacks, but what have been the things that you maybe bring to the PT experience?
Just taking it past what you think is humanly possible. Just taking it past that level, because everyone thinks they've got a level, but we don't. It's 10 times more. Your brain will cancel on you a million times before your body fails on you. Within the military, it's always going to just be, like you said, what people probably perceive of the military is just discipline, determination. Another big one that people might not think about is integrity. And that's not just with other people, but it's integrity to yourself to make sure you're being realistic, you're not self-sabotaging, you're being true to yourself. And it will hurt your ego and it'll hurt your mindset to every once in a while just go, what am I doing wrong? How am I self-sabotaging? Am I staying up too late on the phone? I know I eat these types of crisps. I'm probably not good with this with people. I notice if I get stressed, I'm a bit like this with people. How can I control my emotions more? So I think a huge one that everyone can take away is just be more truthful to yourself. And the only way you can do that is by doing what you say you're going to do. So if you do want to eat 6 packets of crisps, be like, I'm going to eat these 6 packets of crisps, like have them. But don't say to yourself, I'm having one, and then you have like 4 or 6. Because if you had a friend that said to you, I'm going to show up at 10 o'clock, I'm going to show up at 10, I'm going to show up at 10, and then it's like 11 one day, 12 one day, 1400, whatever. Sooner or later, you're going to start to lose trust with that friend. Just start to see your mindset as the same thing of, if you tell yourself one thing and you don't do it and you're lying to yourself, there will be a separation in you and who you're supposed to be. So just if you're going to do something, follow through with it. Just be truthful to yourself, and then if you're truthful to yourself, you can be truthful to other people. If people lie to themselves, they don't mind lying to others. Like literally, they'll do it like it's water off a duck's back. Or do you know what I mean?
I wanted to talk to you as well about celebrities and influencers.
Yes.
So I would love to get your PT opinion on it, because in much the same way that I'll click on those articles about, oh, I got 8 abs in 8 days or whatever. When you get those bits of PR where it's like, oh, look at Zac Efron or whoever, like how they've bulked up for this role. Like as a PT, do you look at those kind of things and go, incredible, like a testament to the industry, or do you think that's just unrealistic because the average person can't do that without, absolutely clearing their schedule and just doing the gym and having the nutritionist and the dietitian and all those other things? Like, what is your sort of take on that celebrity approach to personal fitness and well-being?
I won't name and shame anyone because that's not my game, but
Right.
there will be, of course, let's say some, because I don't want to do like a blanket statement, celebrities who they're on drugs, performance enhancing drugs. You can tell as someone who witnesses drugs within the fitness community, and I can tell when someone's on drugs because at some point 2, 4, 6 years, if they're silly, they have heart problems or heart failure. There's people from gyms that I know, of course, won't mention, they're in their 18s, like teens, by 22, heart failure. and they can't train again because they've seen celebrities, they've seen these certain things, and they think, I want that, but I want it now. A lot of the celebrity stuff, like you said, is super unrealistic. It's not unachievable because if someone does have that mindset to do something, of course you can do it. For a lot of day-to-day people, like you mentioned, with their schedule, the money, because even healthy eating can, especially this day and age and economy, healthy foods are like up there. Fast food is down there, so it is a lot more difficult to get ready. And like you said, they're gonna have all the top masseuses, recovery, supplementation, nutritionists to let them know to get on point. They have mindset coaches to help them navigate the tough times as well, especially if they're it's known as like cutting within the fitness industry to like get ripped and shredded. That comes with a lot of negative things, just like obviously being cranky for one, like bad headache, zero energy, because you're effectively starving your body, so it's not going to really like it.
What is cutting? Is that just fasting?
Cutting is like a calorie restriction. There's cutting and then there's bulking. So if someone's effectively cutting, they're trying to reduce the calories within their body. If someone's bulking, they're increasing the calories. And then you've got like maintenance, which is in the middle. So you'll probably hear like cutting is someone like trying to get down in boxing to a set level before a fight when they weigh in. They'll do like a massive cut, but they take it to extreme levels where they'll get in a sauna with like a sweatsuit on. They'll spit into like a bucket or whatever just to get those grams, and they'll lose like 10 pounds of weight in like a day. They'll flush out all the water just to drop down to weight. And this is obviously the issue with a lot of fad diets and stuff. Of course, people can see 4, 6 kilograms of change in weight in a month. If you go on a calorie restrictive diet, you might cut out your carbohydrates because carbs aren't bad for you, but there's a perception that there is because it's tied to a lot of fast foods. And when you cut out carbs, carbs have water attached to it. So if someone cuts carbs out, they'll lose weight, but then lose water weight as well. So then that's where these people see these drastic changes in their body when they go, oh, I'm going on a zero carb diet. They lose a lot of water, but all they're effectively doing is they're removing, say, like 40% of their total calories. Of course, you would lose weight if you remove 40% of anything. So
Yeah.
this is why different diets do work. There's going to be extremists with each diet group, like keto, vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian. There's always going to be extremes in all of them. But what
Carnivore
most,
now. I've met a couple of people that do the carnivore diet, which is like they just eat meat.
yeah, this is super popular. That's been trending for a good while now.
Would you recommend the carnivore diet?
I personally would, it depends on your fitness goals as well. But I personally would not, just because A, it's going to be extremely drastic for most of the population. B, it's going to be pretty expensive as well with meat prices, eggs. They're literally just having eggs, meat, breakfast, lunch, dinner. There is certain people that have been on these diets. I think it was definitely don't quote me on this, but I believe it is Jordan Peterson, the psychologist, if you've heard of him.
He's where I first heard about the carnivore diet.
Oh yeah, yeah. So he went on due to some health issues, and of course, or I believe it was one of his family members, his daughter maybe as well, went on it, and they saw some amazing results. That could just be unique to those two individuals because something within me was flaring up a intestinal problem or some sort of inflammation or etc etc. I wouldn't disagree with the carnivore diet for getting more protein in because as a whole most of the population are lacking in protein, and this is why people overeat because your body, it's craving food, you're eating the processed food and all the foods, but your body's like, I want protein, let's give me what I need, and you're not filling that need. But it's not like your body craves, like, I can't wait for a steak, unless you're like really craving something. as a whole, your body's going to be like, I want cake, I want crisps, I want carbs, I want that dopamine, I want McDonald's chips or whatever, whatever. But that's
Yeah.
just because of how they've chemically cocktailed that ingredient to make it as addictive as possible. And then, like I said, it's altering your insulin response, it's altering your feeling full hormone, and then feeling hungry hormone. So it's
One of the things that you were just talking about when we talked about celebrities and influencers was this idea that a lot of them are on drugs and you can tell straight away. I love the idea of like this is your like so your eye is so refined you can tell when someone's gains are natural and unnatural. Like what are the tells, or is it just like it's almost like a sixth sense because you just are in that world?
it's going to be so a good because it's going to be unique to the individual and of course their fitness program, how long they've been in the game for as well. Because of course, if someone's been doing exercise for 20 years, the body that most people think, oh, that guy's clearly on steroids. No, that is achievable potentially depending on that person, but to the day-to-day person, it might look insane. But if, like you said, if
Yeah.
anyone studied a musical instrument for 2 hours a day, years on end, and they're playing it with their eyes closed and with their elbow, and so because they're so good at it, of course
Mm.
they're gonna be good. But so it depends on the duration or how long they've been doing it for, their age, because with testosterone, like they're saying, even now, testosterone levels in an average male have just plummeted due to stress. Probably stuff within the water, which probably won't go into. But there's all sorts of different things that are causing test levels to drop as well. And you need testosterone. Females have got testosterone. You need that to build muscle as well. So if someone's older, like in their probably gonna people will be like, I'm not old, but it's older, like in their 50s, 60s, for example, and they're still very well built, they're going to be on some sort of steroid, or you might have heard of something called TRT, which is just like a hormone replacement to help people. But there is going to be certain things if it's almost like a unreal look. There's like a natural look to the muscles, and then there's an addition to the
Yeah.
muscles. And just to reassure people, everyone that's in the Mr. Olympia, everyone, like Sebum, who's current at the moment, they're all on steroids. All of them. You have
Right.
to be at that level. So just as a reassurance of if anyone sees these people, you're not going to get that without steroids. And even if you did take steroids, that doesn't mean that you're going to achieve that because it's still down to hard work. It's still down to genetics. It's still down to loads of other factors as well. But as a whole, it's going to be just they're super big. They're just extremely ridiculous body fat percentage. Like there's a certain pigmentation to the skin. Skin just can look different. You can tell if someone's liver is overactive or kidney just by like pigments around the face. Like because obviously
Wow.
steroids and other drugs will put stress on your liver and your kidneys.
Right.
So there's there's a lot of side effects that people, especially young children, that is being stupid because they are stupid to get on steroids in their teens, and even in their obviously if people want to do it, they'll do it. I can't change people, but they're doing it when they're teenagers in their early 20s. They haven't even trained hard in the gym or got to their optimal level naturally, and they're already wanting to it's almost like if you had a normal car and it's like you can't even drive, but it's like I want a Lamborghini. It's like you don't even know how to corner yet, like or indicate, like, and you're wanting to drive a Lambo, like, and it could kill you. Like that Lambo could kill. Do you know what I mean?
I love that we were talking about being self-conscious in the gym. Now I would be even more self-conscious. So I'd be like, every PT could look at me and know like what my liver's doing, like
No, no,
if I've
no, no. They
taken
might not to be
anything.
like, yeah.
No, no,
I don't know
I'm
all,
joking.
but like, yeah.
But I just love that you're in that space so much that you can tell these things and that you know you can sort of have someone's number straight away just by how they look and how long they've been doing certain things.
Yeah, it can give a strong indication of it, and you just know that with certain weights, if someone's lifting like a ridiculous amount of weight, that there is things that are achievable natural, and then there's just like another level.
So interesting, just on the flip of what you've said there. So obviously steroids, big one, but now big thing is this Ozempic.
Mm.
What are your thoughts on that? And pretty soon will you be out of a job because no one will need you anymore because we've all got pills and injections we can take to make us look the way we want to look.
Yeah, so Ozempic was originally for diabetes. Like I'm qualified in care and management of diabetes. Ozempic was, I believe, like originally for management and effectiveness of diabetes, insulin, and just helping with that. Like with anything new and anything, there's going to be extremes to this. I'll try to stick in the middle and give like the pros and cons of both of it. Pros for a lot of people, no matter what they do, and just if they are at a morbidly obese or a super extreme limit of being overweight, it's going to kill them if they don't sort it out. It's loads of different health issues. If them taking a pill helps them reduce the weight down, I'm all for that. With the other side of it, you might notice in Hollywood, it's called like I don't know the technical terms, Ozempic face, but I don't know if you've seen a change in certain Hollywood
Yeah, they've
figures,
all
but
disappeared. Like they've all like
yeah. So
they're all
and it's like
wasting away.
it's a muscle wastage as well, and that's the only well. There's going to be numerous side effects of it, but one of them is going to be the muscle wastage and just their hips and their face, and it's just it's they don't need it. It's meant for people for type 2 diabetes and people who are like overweight and they need that help. This is not
Mm,
for the day-to-day person. And like anything, there hasn't been any, this is very, very recent, there hasn't been any long-term studies come out yet. What happens in
mm,
5, 10 years' time? Like, maybe not. At one point, the government were like smoking when pregnant, or asbestos is safe, and like in the news, like it was all like
yeah.
reinforced and everything. But obviously, as studies change, and new information comes in. But I believe anything new introduced, you just got to be super, super careful. And especially within America, where their healthcare system is dependent on people being sick, because then you pay
Hmm.
for it. Wouldn't they bring out a drug that might be successful for now, but then later on, you're then going to be health issues and another. I know that goes on to another topic, but you just got to be very careful with sometimes a bigger picture of a corporation, because if you look at a lot of history within corporations, there's a lot of
Mm.
shady stuff that happens just so then they can sell you the remedy.
Well, I
But
definitely have to have you back on at some point to go deep on conspiracy theories, but we'll keep this one just for health for now. But let's schedule that one for later on. So, another question I wanted to ask: do you think that schools are doing enough to educate but also build healthy habits? You can tell anyone anything, but it's really more about getting people into the habits of things. Do you think schools do enough?
from what I'm aware, no. And that it all comes down to mental health and it all comes down to phones, I believe, as a whole, because phones are destroying children's attention, their perspective of the world, their access to like sexual imagery and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I know it's not going to be on the teachers as a whole, and it's going to be on the parents as well. Within education, phones, as soon as you get into school, the teachers are in charge. They've got access to emergency contacts. Your phone is put in your locker. You're there to learn, nothing else. And if they don't remove that and they don't teach, there might be new things coming out with dangers of social media and that sort of stuff. But as a 10, 12, 13-year-old, when you're at school, you don't listen, or like people might not listen to the teacher. It's not cool. It's not whatever. So I think as adults in charge of children, because children don't know any better. As a whole, I don't see phones and children with social media as a positive thing. With other stuff, or if social media is used correctly, of course it's educational, but most don't use it for education. It's entertainment and to slag people off and to have that bad hatred community, and it breeds a lot of negative stuff. So
Yeah.
with with that, I'll probably say no. And then probably nutrition, I bet isn't I remember school food, it was just chips or what. There's anything wrong with chips, but it was probably deep fried chips, heavy oils. You want to look at foods like omega-3s and just stuff that's brain food that's going to help with learning.
Yeah, on that. So, thinking about like your own personal journey at school when you were a child versus now where you're so deep into health and fitness and wellness, like, is there anything you had to unlearn? Like, like even just the little things like 5 a day or 2 liters of water or whatever it is, which I think are still pretty much endorsed, but it feels like health and wellness stuff contradicts so often where it's like, you should be eating eggs, you shouldn't be eating eggs, you should be eating 5 eggs, you should be eating two, you should know it. It's like, it all seems to change so much. So, is there anything that sort of you learn in school at health and wellness that you're like, I can't believe they taught us that. That's so weird. Or anything where it's like, I can't believe they didn't teach this to us in school.
Honestly, I don't even remember anything to do with the fruits, vegetables. Where it was just get your food. School was just the subjects, and then that was it. There was no, oh, make sure you drink water in class, that sort of stuff. Water's probably discouraged maybe a bit less, even though hydration is optimal for you in your like cognitive and your performance, like physically. But if you drink too much, the children are going to be leaving the class every 5, 10 minutes. So they probably restrict water intake and certain things.
I always think that it's wild that we did so much baking at school. Like everything was baking
Oh yeah,
cakes
yeah.
and biscuits. And it's like, why didn't you teach us to make 5 different healthy breakfasts, 5 different healthy lunches, 5 different healthy dinners? And so then we had like a point of reference of like, here's the quick, cheap breakfast you can make in 5 minutes. Here's a slightly more expensive, longer to make one. And then I think we would have more points of reference of like, oh, it's taken me for years to think of like a healthy breakfast. I had to have ChatGPT do it.
Yeah, there's like you said, it's mental with the conflicting information. As a whole, if they just kept it basic with portion sizes, just show children a plate, try to get a quarter at least of a protein, carbs. You're going to have some sort of fats if that's like oil, butter, sauces. But then the other half is veggies or greens. So maybe like half a plate veggies, greens, a fist. I believe that was the reference. It may have changed now of like proteins, and then like roughly a fist of carbohydrates, and then just keep it just nice and simple, especially for children, because they're not going to know about. And most day-to-day people are not going to be aware of macro intake of fats, proteins, carbohydrate, how many grams they need, and all that sort of stuff. But if you can just get the general picture of, right, let's aim for half a plate of veggies and greenery, carbs and protein, that's a good level to just sort of start off with. Obviously, it depends on the child and if they're doing fitness and that sort of stuff. But then if they are, then they would want to seek that knowledge if they start doing more sport or whatever. But I think,
Mm.
yeah, they just implement just basics or in schools just have it segregated on their plate so it reinforces a healthy habit. So by the time you're an adult, it's already subconscious that you pick portion sizes and not all just this and that, and just have it reaffirmed from a young age. And then it's already a habit by the time you're older.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think there's so much more work to do, but I think that there's so much more opportunity now to just teach kids real life skills, and I think that there is a consensus in the culture of like, why do we teach them these pointless lessons sometimes of things they're never going to use? Actually, let's teach them about taxes, let's teach them about finance, let's teach them how to look after themselves. So hopefully there'll be those changes. Before we wrap up,
Yes.
so we have talked a lot about your specialist subject area, but Generation Uncharted is all about like all of us sort of navigating a world where the rule book is upside down. What works for your parents doesn't necessarily work for you. We're all sort of navigating a new world that's tech heavy. We're trying to stay healthy and conflicting health advice, and we've talked about that. So I wanted to just ask you a couple of general questions. Do you in yourself ever feel pressure to match where your parents were at your age? And do you ever feel pressure from sort of friends of like, oh, they're doing this and I'm not doing that? Like, how do you deal with sort of not so much peer pressure but just that culture I think we all have where we're comparing ourselves
Yeah.
to what our previous generation did or what certain friends are doing. Like how do you navigate that?
I've just had to, and this has taken years, like literal years, and just more recently, more than ever, of unlearning in it because, like you said, it's comparison, not just from parents and friends, but like you said, your peers and people on social media now, because that's a new thing that's come in and expected to be millionaires by the time you're like 21 and all this sort of stuff. Just had to learn that everyone's in their own race. With parents, they're from a different generation, they're from a different rule book. Prices
Mm,
for a job, you could get away with one person working, the other would be stay at home, and you could still
yeah.
afford a house and everything else. With the difference in inflation now, it's just it's mental. Some stats would be like tenfold in comparison to what it was back then. So you just got to realize that everyone's in their own race, and it's completely different rules now to back then. And even now,
Yeah.
with if I've got like a mate who will be comes from a very well off family, of course they're going to have different education, different resources to pull upon, contacts, because a lot of stuff is not what you know, it's who you know, and how they can obviously help you as well. But like like I say, comparison's the thief of all joy. It's good to compare someone to think, okay, what's capable, like within fitness, within lifestyle, to think, "Oh, yeah, I'd love to do that, and I can't believe a human can do that." But day to day and every day, if you're continuously thinking, I should have a house by now, I should be married by now, I should be
Mm.
doing this, that, and the other, you're just leading yourself to a very poor mindset, which will then reinforce smoking, drinking, drugs, all that sort of stuff. So just yeah, just focus on your own race.
Do you have anyone that you look at as inspiration? Not so much because I think comparison culture, the bad side of it is you feel bad that you're not where certain people are. Are there any people you look at? You don't have to give names, but are there any people that you look at that give you inspiration of like, oh, like that's, I want to be like that, or I'm going to work a bit harder, or do you still get those? Like, are there healthy people that you like aspire
Yeah,
to?
yeah, massively. And they don't have to be. There is celebrities that I do inspire to be like because I can obviously see their life because they are a celeb. But it doesn't have to be a celebrity. It could just be a day to day person that I see um, going to the gym or running on the street. And if, like I know if someone's overweight, how the brain's gonna feel, how their body's feeling, the hurt, the whatever. But that is just as inspiring because of like how difficult it is than someone who's already at the finish line. Of course, they're inspired because they've got a proven track result, but it's inspiring as well the people that they don't know if they're going to get what they but they try. I think it's a
Mm.
trying as well. But yeah, there is different celebrities that are inspired to be like just because of their mindset, and some are fitness based celebrities, and people are going to say, "Oh, yeah, of course it's going to be him because he's popular, or whatever." But like David Goggins for me, just because of his extreme mindset and what he went through in childhood as well, that can definitely help. And then obviously fitness and mindset come hand in hand, but then people that are more just psychology based or spiritually based, like I'm probably going to butcher his name, Eckhart Tolle, who's like a or Eckhart Tolle. He
Mm.
like psychology. He's German, or John Peterson, or just certain people you think they just, or like monks, or just people you think, yeah, you seem to be in control of your mindset and letting things be, and you just got a healthy outlook on things.
I also wanted to know what do you judge yourself for? Because you sort of think former Marine, someone that is in the gym a lot. You're definitely looking after yourself. You're doing everything right. Like, are there still things that you judge yourself for, or is that like a mindset that you are evolved past?
Yeah, don't. Yeah, you evolve past judgment. I feel like judge, and this may be my interpretation of it, but to judge has that almost like a negative view on it. I will still definitely still like evaluate myself and pit myself down. Not unlike I'm going to beat myself up and kick myself when I'm down, but I will have a word with myself and be like, you need to pull it together with this, that, you know, you need to be still more compassionate. You still need to be more on your game with your food. You still need to test yourself more mentally. Like I
Yeah.
will forever do that because that's where growth's at as well. But yeah, just try to remove the, obviously it's going to feel negative because your brain won't like it that you're picking on stuff that you do wrong. But in time, the more you can get people to judge you or um, learn to be critical, I guess, like that's where the growth's at because it shows you where all your triggers are and where all the areas that you need to work on. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, even if it sucks and you're not going to like it. But
Fraser, this has been such a brilliant episode. I've actually learned so much that I'm going to go and apply in my real life. So, if people want to know more about you or book a PT session, where can they go to find you?
no, thank you for having me, Lewis. I really appreciated it. So you can go to either Instagram fitness.phrase, Frase, or you can go to fitnessphrase.com, which is my website, and also got apps on the Google Play Store and Apple Store as well.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.